Have you ever thought about building a personal brand? Maybe going as far as building a community? Well, I get the luxury of talking with Casey from Brick by Brick, and we're going to talk about what it's been like building a brand, a community, using social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to talk about Brick by Brick. And of course, we will talk about one rental at a time. Casey, rewind the clock for us. Pre Brick by Brick, what were you doing? What was the impetus for creating it? What was that spark that said, "Hey, I'm going to go create something from scratch"?
So I was a stay-at-home mom, right? For, oh gosh, since we moved here in 2013. When I lived in California prior to that, I did real estate and I had a part-time job. But moving out here, I get to be a stay-at-home mom, which was great, but I meant for more. Not that that's bad, but it wasn't as all fulfilling as it should have been. I mean, I grew up with an entrepreneurial dad who instilled in me a drive to succeed and make money and all this stuff. And like being a mom was great, but it just wasn't enough for me, And I'm homeschooling now. I see my kids 24 hours a day. So I love my children, they even sleep in my room still. And, I'm fine with that. Um, but I needed a bit more. And I wanted to figure out some way to make money. I started off, as you know, with my Etsy shop. And that's what helped me with my first down payment for my first rental property.
Mhm.
But creating items to sell for $5, $10, $25. I mean, I was like minimum wage. I was
Yeah.
grueling and I would literally blood from cutting myself, like with all the crafts, tears up here in this craft room, which is now my real estate and my coaching room. It was a lot, and I knew that I had more to share. I knew that I was smarter than I can just make crafts. And I thought, well, what experience do I have in other areas that I can share with other people? And maybe make a little income too, but have it be something that I'm passionate about and I love.
Yeah.
And Michael, I wrote a list and I probably thought about it for a year. What can I do to make money? What can I do that I love? I thought, oh, I'm going to make cartoons for children on YouTube. Okay, I tried that. That didn't work. I'm going to write kids' books because I had small kids. This is 5 years ago. I started Brick by Brick Wealth. And then my sister was like, Casey, why don't you teach people about real estate? And I'm like, no, Haley, I said, people aren't going to want to hear from me. I don't have like 100 properties. I'm not the guru with the Lambo and the jet. People are not going to want to learn from me. And she said, Casey, you just need to be a little bit more ahead of the people. You're not going to be at the top. Those people that are at the very tip top, they're out of touch with beginners. They don't know how to help beginners. And I'm like, oh, it's true. And that's really the only thing I've had experience in was real estate because I got in 2007. So I had been in the industry for a really long time. It's the only thing that I really knew anything deep about. And so it was just natural. Now, then COVID hit, right, in 2019. As I'm working on building this brand behind the scenes, I had barely even started an Instagram yet. And then we get COVID. And it was actually perfect timing for me to go online. I had helped people locally teach them how to buy real estate and give advice and all that. And friends that I knew didn't want anything to do with it. They didn't want to hear about real estate. They thought I was just like puffing my chest. Oh, look at my rental properties. And I'm like, no, like, they just didn't get it. And so being online, I was able to build this community of Brick by Brick Wealth. And I was able to help and reach people who wanted to be helped, who wanted to hear what I had to say, which was unlike my neighbors and my friends who didn't want to hear anything. They didn't want to learn from me. And I couldn't teach or help people locally because we couldn't be face to face. So it just all kind of worked out the timing. And I tell you, Michael, I really hate social media.
Mhm.
I'm not one to post personally about what I had for lunch. Here's my toes on the beach. Check out pictures of my dog or my kids. Because really, I don't really care about other people's lives. And so I don't expect people to care about my personal life. So when I get online, when I get on Facebook, when I get on, Instagram, when I get on YouTube, it's direct to help people. Like I want to help you. I want to help you get to where I am now because I was that little girl who was just a mom and we hardly made any money and we made it work. And I am a transformed, different person than I was 8 years ago when I started real estate investing. So having these platforms and these communities really, I enjoy and I love because I'm able to help people like me, like how who I was several years ago.
And I think there's so much wisdom in that story that I just want to go back to because again, I know there's a lot of people, you know, you know, 30, 40, 50 years old that may be starting a YouTube channel or quote unquote building a brand. And it's not about becoming a guru or an influencer. What it is about is taking something that you love and you probably have a decade or 2 decades of experience with it and sharing it with the world. And when you do that, a couple of things happen. In my experience with one rental at a time is exactly the same. You start out by yourself, you know, for me it was my phone, didn't even have a camera, and you just start telling your story. And then it's really weird. It starts slow, but then you start to build your little tribe, your little community. And then something really special happens. If you're open to it, it happens. Is you find other people who have the same mission you do, but with different stories and frankly don't look like you. That's one of the reasons I put together the one rental at a time roster, right? We have men, women, we try to be diverse because you just never know what story will hit what person. So what I keep telling people is I created this one rental at a time thing. It's really funny. It's made me millions of dollars now, but I created it so I'd stop being depressed.
Me
I was
too.
a yeah, I was a 45-year-old who didn't
Yeah.
have to work anymore and I was struggling. I just had to feel like I'm doing something to contribute. And
Yep. That
a
was
couple
me.
hours a
Different in a
day.
different way. But yeah, in
Yeah.
a different way.
It's I would encourage you like if you have like if you're I'm 52, right? If you're 52, 42, 35 and you have had a hobby or something you enjoy for decades, start to share it with the world. And you don't have to be stupid and crazy like me and post 3 times a day, but once a week, just share something. Because what will happen in 6 months or 9 months is you will get better at telling people your story and what you love about your thing, but you're going to find other people. And then the real power begins is you can start socializing with other people. In my case, real estate. I found Casey, totally different story. Starts an Etsy store to save for her down payment, right? You can share that with the world and find nuggets of similarity and differences and encourage more people to think outside the box. So, guys, if you have something, and here's the last thing I'll say, and this is another, don't do what I did. I go to work, I quit at a moment's notice, and I don't have a backup plan.
Mhm.
I should have been doing one rental at a time 5 years before. I could have rolled into something, and I would have only done it like every Saturday or something back then, but it would have been enough so that I had something to fall back on. Don't don't do what I did. Quit, get depressed, travel the world, come back, do this. Just start it now when you don't have the pressure, right? You're already paying your bills. Start this little side project once a day or once a week or whatever it is. I highly encourage. It's so much fun to talk to people that you're helping or encouraging. Like go through my comment section in the daily news or our interviews. 95% of them are wildly positive. It's addicting. It's so much fun.
It is. I think, the lesson to learn here is to do something that you're passionate about, to do something that you love. And I will say, if it weren't for real estate investing, if it weren't for me having rental properties and having worked hard for that experience, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to make money doing Instagram, YouTube, my coaching program, all of that, because I would have felt the pressure. It's hard to start a business. It is scary. It can be expensive. It's when you're the solopreneur, when you're the only person, it's very scary. And failure rate is through the roof. I mean, I'm thankful, grateful that I've been doing this for 5 years now. But if I didn't already have a stream of income coming from rental properties, especially, I would have felt the pressure to get a job, to get a real
Yep.
job. I would have felt like I need to make money. I can't just be a mom. I need to make significant money. What do I do? I wouldn't have been able to dabble and find something and, oh, I'm going to start a coaching program, or I'm going to really go hard on social media and try and build a brand. Would not have had the money to come in every month to be able to do that if it weren't for rental income. So even getting started, having rental income, having some sort of stable-ish income coming in can open your possibilities and say, okay, well, I'm not, spending all my pennies. I have disposable income. I have the breathing room to take a little bit of risk on myself. Maybe I do something that I love, because life is short. You only live once, you know? And if you're watching this and you're a person who maybe hasn't invested in rental properties and you're in your day job the whole time, what are you passionate about? It might be rentals, maybe the vehicle to get you somewhere else, but maybe you love woodworking. Maybe you love restoring furniture. Find something on the side that you love to do, and maybe you can start a business in it too. Put it on YouTube, do an Instagram, have Facebook groups. But the point is that Michael found something he was passionate about. You do your one rental at a time, consistently, constantly. You live, eat, live, breathe, all the things that. And I do the same brick by brick wealth, but it doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like a job, because it's what we're meant to do, because we opened ourselves to the possibility of doing something for love, for enjoyment. And those sorts of things will bring you money when you're passionate about them. It is hard to make any sort of money doing something you hate to do. You can
No.
think of every excuse in the book why not to do it that day. But when you love it, then you'll do it.
Yeah. The other thing I want people to realize is, even if you start and it's one day a week and you do it consistently for a couple of years, you're going to get great opportunities. So, for example, I was, by doing this channel, I was able to interview Elena Cardone. I was able to interview Graham Stephan, meet Kevin, John Cannell, Minority Mindset. I mean, there's just been Minority. What's the guy's name? Well, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Not Minority Mindset. Somebody else. Oh, why am I drawing a blank? Anyways,
No, it's the only one I didn't recognize when you said it.
This is terrible. Anyways, I was able to interview lots of really cool people and cool stories, and it's just so much fun. And these conversations were they were just like, let's go help some people.
Yeah.
And you get invited to speak on stages, and I keynoted Pacific Northwest Action Summit. It's just worth, I just got to tell you, it's worth it. I mean, and the biggest thing is, if you're doing this building wealth thing, you will eventually, get to a point where you can retire, and having something that you can fall back on, is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Have something of your own that you
Yeah.
don't, you're not beholden to anybody else, and it's all on your own terms. Now, these things that we built in these communities, they don't take overnight. Like, how long have you been doing one rental at a time?
2008, and I did have it right. Minority Mindset. The minority
Okay.
Jaspreet Singh. I did have it right. Minority Mindset.
Okay. So how long have you been doing one rental at a time? What year did you
I
start?
I started March of 2018.
2018. Oh my gosh. And so I think my first Instagram post I started on Instagram was either end of 2019 or beginning of 2020, but almost, the same time. And I remember following you kind of from the beginning. I don't know
Yeah.
how I found you at the time on YouTube, but I did. And I remember you used to come on my Instagram, and we used to do Instagram lives
Yep.
back in the
Yep.
day, a few years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah. So, communities can be formed by just getting started. Find your
Yep.
tribe. And like I talk to my husband Blake all the time. Well, if we move, I always want to get on Memphis. Memphis made it to #1 most dangerous city now, Michael.
Oh, congratulations.
And Blake saw his first car break-in in progress at Home Depot the other day. So,
Oh,
we're
no.
just getting more action.
So I wanted to show you this. I had a
So,
creator.
oh my God.
Find
Oh, I
your
love
tribe.
that. Is that from
Frank. Frank did that.
Is that from Frank? Yeah.
Old
Frank
guy
did that.
REI.
Yes, Frank. Well, we talk about moving, and I still am in love with Colorado. It's like, I know people there couple of my students live there. I have real estate investment online friends that live in Boulder, in Denver. My loan officer lives in Denver. Like, I already know people. I've got friends from around the country because of real estate. And I could definitely feel like I could hang out with
Yeah.
many of these people where I don't identify with half the people that I know here where I live now. We
Yeah.
just don't mesh.
I would tell you it's worth it. I guess the last thing I'll say about building a brand is you have a choice day one. And this really goes back to your point earlier about not needing the income right away. Because if you come into this, you lose your job, you've got nothing, whatever. Your only choice on social media is to go negative in fear.
Mhm.
And again, you can go find lots of channels that do that, and they make lots of money. I have this tool called vidIQ, and
Yep.
there are Crash Bro channels making 20 grand a month. So again, if you need money instantly, go produce fear. But if you're coming to this because you love something and you've loved it for a decade, you want to share that passion, that history, that interest, and it's going to build slowly. I do now believe the money will over time dwarf the fear based, but trust me, you'll be happier. Can you imagine, Casey, producing one fear video a day and then
Yeah.
interacting with a community that only wants fear? That would crush my soul.
Yeah. Yeah. How long could you do that for before you
Uh,
felt burnt out, before you felt like you weren't being authentic? And I feel like that's where a lot of these online quote gurus get in all sorts of different industries, is they just feed the audience what the audience clicks. And I get it. You want the clicks, but that's why my account's not hundreds of thousands of people like other accounts, because I don't post to get clicks. Maybe I
Impact.
should think more that way, but I
No,
don't.
no, chase
I
impact.
I just want to give impact. I want to give real help, real advice. And I feel like that people that really want that will see my stuff. And I don't need to get clicks from somebody, saying, "Oh, I made $1 zillion in 5 minutes as a 4-year-old." Yeah, that's gonna get you tons of clicks and money, but that's not authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
And you end up becoming a liar. And what is worse than lying to other people? It's lying to yourself. So all those crash bros and those people out there, they don't believe half the crap that they're spewing. And it just makes me sick. Like, could I even be friends with that person in real life?
No
No.
chance. No chance.
No, because
No.
they're greedy, and that's the greedy people right there. The ones that only care about getting clicks, making money, and they don't really care about the
Yeah.
truth.
They're just telling people what they want to hear instead of telling
Yeah.
them what they need to know. It's just that
Yep.
simple. And
100%.
again, if you're going to chase this again, I really go back to the fact if you have something you love for a decade, go talk about it. Go share it with the go find the other 1,000 people that have the same interest. It's an amazing feeling. And yes, money will show up, but don't do it for the money. Do it for the impact. And trust me, it'll be a good day. I'm very happy, Casey, that you built brick by brick from nothing. I'm glad you chose the real estate route. Where can people find you?
People can find me every day on Instagram and YouTube at Brick by Brick Wealth.
Thank you so much.